I am now officially partnered with GSUPPS. Using the first link in my description or using the code GM while shopping will earn you 10% off all purchases. If you use my code now, you can get free samples shipped anywhere in the world, and GSUPPS will cover shipping. More on why I partner with them in the description. What's going on, guys? It's gmeiners here, and today's video is a full leveling guide for Witch Queen. I'm going to be explaining the most consistent and the fastest ways to level and reach each power cap in game. If you want to skip to certain parts of the video, I have also included chapters, so just drag the scroll bar on the bottom to the section you need info for. Okay, so starting off with new seasons, we have 3 different power caps and 2 different sources which make up our total power. I'm going to define each of these now. Starting with power caps, first we have the soft cap. This is the easiest power limit or cap in the game to reach. In Witch Queen, this cap is going to be set to 1500 power. When you load up Witch Queen or any other new DLC, you will start under this cap with what is known as the power floor. And by playing the game, any and every world drop you get will increase your power level. Usually, the drops you will get here are going to be rare drops or blue engrams. Once you reach the soft cap, world drops like these will no longer increase your power. Also, new to Witch Queen, at the soft cap, blues will now stop dropping as frequently, so you don't have to keep dismantling them. Upon reaching the soft cap, you will now need to hit the hard cap. In Witch Queen, this cap will be set to 1550 power. The hard cap is a range where you can only increase your power level by earning powerful gear rewards. These rewards are Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 engrams. Tier 1 will reward you with the least power per gear drop, and Tier 3 will reward you with the most. Tier 1s are going to be plus 3 drops to your current gear score, Tier 2s are plus 4 drops, and Tier 3s are plus 5. When hitting the power cap, Pinnacle gear drops will also help you out here. These are going to be 1 step higher than Tier 3 powerful rewards, as they should reward you with a plus 6 drop to your current gear score. Some people have said while earning Pinnacles between the soft and hard cap that the Pinnacles are equal to Tier 3 powerful rewards. This means they would only drop at plus 5, not at plus 6. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is true, but either way, this doesn't make a huge difference. Each source for every tier of powerful rewards is shown on screen now. If you want to take a screenshot and save it, that way you can easily reference every reward you should be getting later. After you have reached the hard cap, the last and often hardest cap to hit is the Pinnacle Cap. This cap is only ever 10 power higher than the hard cap. For Witch Queen, once again, this will be set to 1560 power. I want to add the disclaimer right here that in order to day 1 raid, you do not need to be past the hard cap and trying to reach the Pinnacle Cap. Usually, you don't even need to reach the hard cap to raid with contest mode. With that out of the way, after raiding on day 1, you will eventually want to hit the Pinnacle Cap. To do this, the only way to increase your gear score is with Pinnacle rewards. When past the hard cap and trying to reach the Pinnacle Cap, Pinnacle rewards will now only drop plus 1 or plus 2 from your current gear score. The plus 1 Pinnacles will drop from things like Crucible, Trials of Osiris, Gambit, and the Strike playlist. Earning clan rewards will also give you a plus 1 Pinnacle. Everything else in the game should drop as a plus 2. Come the time of Witch Queen, this should include the Grasp of Avarice dungeon, the seasonal event. This season, it's the Shattered Realm, but we'll probably get a new one with Witch Queen. And then lastly, getting a 100k score on a Nightfall. The new raid will also drop Pinnacle gear, but this obviously will not be available until after the raid race on March 5th. Other mission quests like Harbinger also drop Pinnacle gear, but I believe these are removed for the start of DLCs. Iron Banner will also drop Pinnacles, but I forget if this is going to be available within the first 2 weeks of a content drop or not. Okay, so now that we know each of the caps in game, let's go over the difference between your gear score and your artifact bonus. Both of these sources will make up your total power. Artifact bonus is just extra power received from the seasonal artifact. This is why continually doing bounties during a season is important. Each level you reach will increase your power bonus and eventually allow you to do hard activities like Grandmaster Nightfalls later on in the season. That's it, plain and simple. Gear score, on the other hand, is what makes up most of your power. Your power level is highly dictated by your gear score. And your gear score is always just a rounded down average of all of your pieces of gear. In total, you have 8 pieces of gear that are used in this calculation. These are your 5 pieces of armor and your 3 weapons. This next part I'm going to cover about gear score is super important to understand if you want to be efficient while leveling. With 8 pieces of gear, your average will come out to a whole number and a fraction. For example, if all of my gear was power level 1000, except for one piece that was level 999, my average would come out to be 999 and 7/8, or 999.875. The game would recognize me at 999 total power because, again, Destiny rounds down. I will never reach 1000 total power until I get a piece of gear that is 1 power higher. Now, this doesn't mean that all of my gear needs to be at 1000 power. With this same loadout, if one of my gear pieces at 1000 were to be replaced with something at 1001, this would put my average to exactly 1000, and I would now have a gear score of 1000. Understanding this is super important and will drastically change the way that you level. If you want to know your current gear score average with fractions, you can see it here on DIM. DIM is short for Destiny Item Manager for those who don't know. DIM will also show you your total power as a summation of your gear score and power bonus from the artifact, so this is super useful to use as you level. Real quick guys, if you do find this video useful, don't forget to drop a like and sub down below. This video took me a lot of work to make. Subbing is completely free, it helps me out a ton, and you can always change your mind later. Okay, so at this point, everything that you need to know is defined, and I'm just going to go over how I level and what order you should do things in when loading up a DLC. I will cover this for one character, and then at the end of the video, go over the most optimal way to level all 3 characters during the first 2 weeks that Witch Queen or any other DLC is out. So once you get into D2, the first thing you should do is start the campaign or main storyline. The reason for this is your first goal is to unlock the seasonal artifact, which I believe is always done through the story. Usually, you'll get this after the first mission or 2. The reason for getting this is that you now can turn in all of your stacked bounties if you have them. Then you can pick up new bounties and continue to level your artifact as you grind. Getting this later will ultimately just let XP earned go to waste. You can wait to turn in your bounties until you reach level 7 in the season pass to get your first Fireteam XP bonus, but this isn't something that will make a huge difference. I usually just turn things in straight away. At this point, I like to continue the storyline and complete it. Other people will typically farm Crucible, as this can be a faster way to reach soft cap, especially if matches are going quick. Other things you can do for Witch Queen could include champion or lost sector farms that still work, and potentially the Paraversal Hall trick to level even quicker. The reason I don't do this is because I'm usually excited to play the story, and oftentimes there are additional unlocks after completing this that I want to be aware of. These are things like new destinations, missions, and quest lines that I want immediate access to. Depending on your level of skill and if you have people to play with when the season starts, running the new Legend version of the campaign is by far going to be the best option. This version will add modifiers that scale the difficulty to something similar to the regular Master Nightfalls, and will also have a power cap similar to contest mode. Putting yourself through this version will take much more time to complete, but will also be much more rewarding. You'll be able to earn double rewards and get more chests in each mission. I believe this will be similar to dungeon style rewards for completion of each encounter. These extra chests will also drop bonuses like upgrade modules and extra XP on top of the extra gear drops. The biggest thing you will get after completing the Legend campaign will also be a full set of 1520 gear and the new exotic armor piece for the class that you are on that typically drops from lost sectors. This last set at 1520 is going to put you a whole week ahead right off the rip compared to previous seasons. So overall, this is going to be a much faster way to level up. The only time I find it necessary to jump into a playlist or use any other soft cap leveling method is when Bungie poorly manages the leveling system and I find myself under power in missions. During Beyond Light, for example, by the time you reached the Glassway Strike, most players were around 20 to 30 power under. I don't think there were enough rewards for each mission. This made the Glassway a mini raid in and of itself. I managed to do it under power, but it wasted a bunch of time, and ultimately, in those situations, it is usually better to go farm levels and then come back. After completing the storyline, if I am not at soft cap, then I will also hop into a playlist activity or use another soft cap leveling trick to finally reach 1500. After the soft cap, this is when the real leveling starts. Bungie has not officially announced it yet, but I am assuming players will want to reach 1530 gear score in order to raid on day 1 with contest mode. Beyond Light was almost the exact same power grind, but at 1200 power rather than 1500 that has been announced for Witch Queen. Deepstone's contest mode was set to 1230. With this goal in mind, which powerful rewards you earn and when you earn them is going to come down to your average gear score. I explained gear score and how the averages work earlier in the video, so if you missed that, I highly recommend you going back and watching it to fully understand this next section. So, with powerful rewards providing a +3, +4, and a +5 drop, when you choose to earn these is going to impact how quickly and how high you can level. Your decision for claiming these will come down to 3 pieces of information. First is your current gear score recognized in-game. This is important because it will dictate the power that world drops will drop at. Second is the fraction or decimal associated with your current gear score, which is calculated from the true average of your gear. And third is the current power of each piece of gear that you have. In situations where each piece of gear is at or close to your current gear score in-game and your fraction is low, these are times when you should earn powerful rewards. A perfect example of this is right as you hit the soft cap. When you hit the soft cap, each piece of gear will be the same exact power. For Witch Queen, this should be 1500. Your in-game gear score will read 1500, and if you check in dim, no fraction will be displayed because your average will be a whole number. At this point, no matter how many world drops you get, unless they are from playlist activities, they will not increase your light. This would be a perfect time to go get something like a tier 3 powerful. This will drop +5 from your current gear score, which in this case would be 1505 power. At this point, your power in dim would read 1500 and now 5/8. Redeeming a tier 1 powerful would be the next best thing to do, as it will give you a +3 drop. With this, you would now have all your gear at 1500, one piece at 1505, and one piece at 1503. This would raise your gear score from 1500 and 5/8 all the way up to 1501. Luck will come into play, especially when you get closer to the hard cap, as some powerful rewards might provide you with gear that you already have at its highest power. Continuing with this example, at this point, you now would have 6 pieces of gear at 1500 power, even though your power would read 1501. This is when you would want to do what is called min-maxing. I will fully explain min-maxing in a minute. By min-maxing your gear, you should be able to get drops for each piece of gear at 1501. This would raise your dim gear score to 1501 and 6/8. Now getting a tier 1 reward again would provide you with a piece of gear at 1504, which would raise your power by 3/8, making your dim gear score read 1502 and 1/8, and your in-game gear score would now read 1502. Understanding this example here and why you should earn certain rewards at different times is the hardest part to the leveling grind. Ultimately, look at where your gear is, compare that to your in-game gear score, and then evaluate whether it is possible to min-max or if you should go ahead and grab a powerful reward. The powerful reward you should choose to get will come down to how many eighths you still need to increase your total gear score. If I am at 5/8 or higher, I will grab a tier 1. If I am at 4/8, I will grab a tier 2. If I am at 3/8 or below, I will grab a tier 3 or pinnacle reward. Hopefully that makes everything super simple. When I personally hit the soft cap, I will typically start by doing a couple tier 3s and tier 1s. If I'm not super unlucky, this can quickly raise my total gear score by 2, and then I can min-max the rest of my lower gear and hopefully increase my gear score by 1 more for a total of 3. Whenever my gear is super even, it will be apparent that I can no longer min-max efficiently, and then I will once again grab more powerful rewards. This super simple cycle is all you really need to do to push towards the power cap. I mentioned min-maxing a couple of times, so what is it? Min-maxing means maximizing the power of your gear score that currently has the least or minimum amount of power. This is usually done in playlist activities and with world drops. Min-maxing can drastically help you increase your power level, as it allows for the limited amount of rewards available to be much more valuable. The issue with min-maxing is that it requires a lot of time and oftentimes luck. Let's say you are 1501 and 7/8. At this point, you only need one piece of gear to increase by 1 power in order to reach 1502. And let's say you have exactly one piece of gear that is 1500 power. This means that any world drops you get will drop at a base of 1501, so all you need to do is grind something like Strikes or Crucible, or claim legendary rewards from vendors until this piece of gear drops at 1501. As I mentioned, this can waste a ton of time and comes down to luck of the drops that you get. In this example, min-maxing would only really help you go up 1 power, and there is a low chance that you get the exact drop that you need because there's only one piece of gear that can help you. With limited time, min-maxing is better to do, in my opinion, when you have multiple pieces of gear that could help you reach a higher power. On top of this, when min-maxing, you may also reach a higher power level, which now allows you to get higher world drops and continue min-maxing. Typically, when you get into higher power levels, your gear is going to vary by multiple power levels in and of itself. So min-maxing can be extremely helpful when gear pieces are much lower than your average gear score. Bungie did also make a slight change which will affect min-maxing and make it easier. Playlist activities like Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit now have a chance to reward +1 drops. So in the case of min-maxing, there is a chance where you get a +1 drop for a different piece of armor and it may still help you. This ultimately just makes min-maxing easier. So with this, if you are someone who is extremely unlucky when leveling or you mess up and grab things too early, you can always just grind a playlist infinitely. The last and final cap to reach is the Pinnacle Cap. This is much less stressful to reach as it really just comes down to dumb luck. On top of this, you do not need to reach the Pinnacle Cap to raid on day 1. As I mentioned, you most likely will not even need to come close to reaching the hard cap to raid. That being said, the only way to go from the hard cap to the Pinnacle Cap is with Pinnacle rewards, with a limited amount of Pinnacle rewards, of which some drop +1 and +2 pieces of gear. All you really need to do is make sure that you do each of these every week. Even with bad luck, you will eventually reach Pinnacle Cap after a few weeks. Reaching the Pinnacle Cap is super easy to do and understand, so no point making this section longer than it needs to be. I wanted to mention this again just in case you were skipping through the video, but don't forget to drop a like and sub down below if you found this guide useful. Subbing is completely free, it helps me out a ton, and you can always change your mind later. So with all this, I now wanted to explain the order that you should level your characters. Of your 3 characters, for day 1 rating, you should have a main, a backup character, and then your third. For example, I'm a Warlock main, but if Hunters receive some crazy buff, I will have mine close to level for the raid in case I want him, and there is no chance I'm taking my Titan in, so he is my third character. When switching between characters, you are able to continuously reach higher power levels by swapping over 3 weapons. You should do this to help your second and third characters that you play on reach soft cap quicker by saving blues at 1500 power, and you should always transfer over weapons with the highest power to also help these characters start at a higher power level when pushing past the soft cap towards the hard cap. The order you should level your characters for the most power is as follows. For week 1, do your main, then your backup, and then your third character. And then for week 2, reverse this order. Starting your third character, which is where you left off, then go to your backup, and then end with your main character. The reason you want to do this in this order is so that every time you switch to a different character, you will get the largest power increase when swapping weapons. It's hard to give a good example for this, but ultimately having higher weapons will make it so that you can min-max more effectively because there will be a bigger delta or difference between your pieces of gear when starting off. Doing this will provide the largest difference in gear for your main character on week 2. This is going to be a way to ultimately get a higher power level in the end. Now, all that being said, the difference might only be a few power. I personally think it is honestly safer to level in the same order between each week. This safer order would be your third character first, then your backup, then your main character for day 1. Then you would just repeat this order twice, once for each week of grinding. This way, you are not going to be leveling your main character at the last possible moment. On top of this, no matter which order you choose, you can easily get to the recommended power for contest mode. For Beyond Light, I leveled this second way. Before the raid was released, I was able to hit hard cap and have a bonus of +12 on my artifact. I personally did this as a junior in college with an extremely hard semester during finals time, so chances are if I could hit the hard cap with this order and with stuff going on in life, anyone should be able to reach just the contest mode cap. I wanted to mention both ways so that you understood the difference between the two and could choose for yourself. The last thing I wanted to mention was grinding XP. Leveling up your seasonal rank and artifact is super important to do. During the beginning of the season, the artifact mods can help a ton with getting higher end content like Nightfall high scores done, and the season pass can often hold meta weapons that are only available after you have hit level 30 plus in the season pass. So as you play, it's extremely important to make sure that when in activities, you are constantly doing bounties. Even if you prep bounties, you still will not be able to reach the XP needed for the final tier artifact unlock or the season pass. So continuing to grind XP is super important. Also make sure you are running a ghost mod that provides bonus XP. Guys, that is and should be everything you need to know in order to grind power in Witch Queen. Don't stress over this too much. I would say even if you instantly grabbed every powerful reward and never min-maxed once, you could still hit the power cap needed for contest mode. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and if need be, I will answer them there or make a follow-up Q&A style video to answer these with detail. Anyways, guys, I hope this guide helps. Peace.